What is going on, guys? John here, the PB Fit, and today we're going to talk about the Planet Eclipse Geo 4. That's right, my newest paintball gun that I bought with my own monies was a Planet Eclipse Geo 4. Now I know, a lot of people say that it's a CS1. It's pretty close to a CS1. It's almost the same, almost, but a little different, okay? So basically, they've done a few things different with this thing, but other than that, it's taken a lot of things from its older brother, the CS1. First of all, let's start with the bottom of the gun and work our way up. Let's take a look at the Pops ASA. Look at the Pops ASA. It's tried and true. Doesn't need to be changed. They stuck with it. I don't blame them. It's a great ASA, and it's found on pretty much all of their markers at this point. The grips are CS2 grips. Now, even with my CSR, I switched to CS2 grips because they're a little thinner. I really like how easy they are to take on and off. All you gotta do is unsnap each side, take off the back plate, go ahead and then snap off each side. The front part of the grips is essentially, it's a two-part grip, and you're gonna be able to take your grips off instantly. Now, like I said, there's no real need to take your grips off on this thing unless it's the front grip, because that's where your batteries are, or if you like messing with your board, which I never do, so I'm never gonna take these grips off again, probably except for this video, and to like clean it. With that being said, grips, fantastic grips. They feel great in the hand. They're not real squishy and soft, but they're really good for when it rains and stuff like that. Still easy to grip. I really enjoy Planet Eclipse's new grips. I like it a lot better than their grips from, unlike the LV1, the LV series, actually, and the 3.5 and before. I thought those grips were a little crummy and they fell apart really easily. Now the trigger is nothing to write home about. It's a very basic trigger, kind of like a Planet Eclipse throwback trigger. It's found on a lot of their older markers. It's not super exciting. It's not like the CS2 trigger at all, so don't expect that. If you're expecting that, you're going to be disappointed. But in today's game, everyone's ramping, and this trigger is really good enough, and that's why I think they stuck with it. Now, the front grip of the marker is super simple to pull off. All you got to do is pull it off and change the batteries. Literally, it's all you just pull it off. It's pretty cool because you can access the AA batteries immediately. It only takes 2 AA batteries, just like my Spire only takes AA batteries, so all I carry on me is AA batteries. To get it back on, all you do is pop back on, it snaps back into place. Now, one thing about these grips is, I don't know if you can hear this, but take it off the stand real quick. It kind of makes a noise. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that play there. It plays just like, man, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, dude, but it plays just like the 170R grips a little bit. Not so much side to side like the 170R, but back and forth definitely plays. So that's kind of a bummer. I wish it didn't do that. But it's not a big deal. I don't notice it while I'm playing with it. And maybe it's just my grips are like worn out or something. I don't know. But it plays back and forth like this. You can hear it. Sounds like a machine gun. The Geo 4 also comes with a Shaft FL barrel kit, which I think is a super nice barrel kit. Comes with a nice long control bore. It's a great looking barrel. It's just I don't use it because I prefer die barrels for no reason. Honestly, I just like the way that the die barrels look. I like having an old school die carbon fiber barrel. Did I notice any difference in like accuracy or whatever? No, I just feel like I personally can point a die boomstick better than this for whatever reason. I don't know why. Just, it's me. Probably placebo. So don't go out and buy a die boomstick just because I said that, because this is a freaking fantastic barrel and there's no reason you're gonna have to go ahead and buy a new barrel. This is it. You could probably, good idea, would probably want to go out and buy new backs for it. Comes in a ton of different sizes for a decent price. I think this is one of the better barrel kits out there, one of the better inserts, I guess if you want to call it that. But it's more like a traditional barrel with a nice long, I believe it's an 8-inch control bore. It's super easy to access the eyes. Just like the CS2 and the CS1s before it, you just slide back the plastic piece, go ahead and pull off the eye covers, and there's the eyes. And the cool thing, once again, is whenever you have to replace those crummy little rubber Planet Eclipse detents, they have an extra one available. Why? because you're definitely going to have to replace one. They don't last forever, they don't last very long, and it's tragic, really. I can't wait till Planet Eclipse comes out with Delrin sprung detents of some sort, which I don't know if they will. Maybe it's patents, I don't know. But I really like sprung Delrin detents over Planet Eclipse rubber nub detents. I feel like that's just really old school. I'd like to see them go away from those. But like I said, super easy to maintain the eyes. Pull them out, wipe them down, put them back in. Great, great eye system, but not as good as the 170R, not as good as a CS2. It's the same eye system as a CS1. Exact same. Why? I don't know, but they did it. Before I get into anything else, let's go ahead and go into the maintenance of the IV core. Now, maintaining the IV core is super easy. Basically, I do minimal maintenance and I only break it down in 3 parts. So I have the can, the bolt, and the bolt guide. Basically, I take the can off and I set the bolt guide and the back cap over to the side. I take the bolt and I push it out the back. You could go ahead and remove that O-ring just to be sure. If you don't want it to wear down and whatnot, but you can go ahead and remove that front O-ring on the bolt and then push it out the back. Then from there, I set everything off to the side. I go ahead and wipe down all the old lube, and I go and I lube everything. Starting with the bolt guide, I just lube that O-ring on there. Then I go ahead and I lube the inner O-ring of the can, and then I do both O-rings at the same time on the outside of the can. That's kind of all you need to do for those 2 parts. From there, we go to the bolt. I go ahead and I lube up the 2 O-rings in the middle of the bolt at the same time, and I do a little bit on the front O-ring, and then I kind of move it across the whole bolt. From there, go ahead and I push the bolt tip back through the front of the bolt can, and I just move it back and forth, make sure there's lube getting all in that inner O-ring, and then I go ahead and screw the can back onto the bolt guide, and basically that's all the maintenance I do. I've never had an issue with my CSR. I've never had an issue with my Geo. That's what I did with my 3.5, and I've never had a problem ever. They've never gone down, knock on wood. So, super stoked about this engine. The IV core is one of my favorite cores in the game, which is why I shoot 2 of them. So that's saying something. Planet Eclipse did an amazing job on this marker. It's a traditional, classic, proven spool valve engine, and I like that about this marker. Now, to maintain the inside of the marker, all I do is usually I pop the eye covers off, I take the detents out, and I rub a squeegee, but usually a microfiber through the inside of the marker to make sure it's nice and shiny on the inside, because I hold it up to a light. Go ahead and make sure that everything, any debris, is out of there. That's how easy it is to maintain this marker. Now, maintaining the regulator, if you've seen my CS2 review, it's the same thing. There's 2 little screws in the bottom. I go ahead and unscrew each screw. From there, the ASA regulator combo kind of removes itself. And then I go ahead and that copper piece, I go ahead and wipe it down, then lube up both of those O-rings. And then I pull out the spring. You can wipe down the spring, and then I pull out the piston. Now, usually I can pop out the piston really, really easily, but I had a really hard time getting the piston out, so I did use pliers. Now, you can use pliers. Dude, I've seen techs use pliers. Everyone freaks out when you use pliers. Usually I can pop it out with my hand. So I used pliers today to do the maintenance. So just a heads up for any of you guys who are gonna get all intense about it. I pulled out the pliers very gently. You don't wanna crimp it. If you crimp the piston, you're done. You're gonna need a new one. So I highly recommend doing whatever you can to get it out without pliers. Some people put rubber like sealant on their pliers so it doesn't damage anything. I just know that I wiggle it a little bit and then I'm able to pop it out. So I wiped down my piston. My piston was dirty, so I wipe it all down. There's an O-ring on there, so I put lube on the O-ring and then I put it down in the piston because you want to make sure that piston gets lubed down inside the rest of the regulator. So I put my piston back inside, then I drop my spring back inside, and I put the ASA back on, and then put both screws back on, and you've just maintained your regulator. So that's freaking sweet. Like, that's how easy this is. And honestly, I do that maybe every 20 to 50,000 shots, depending on how it's shooting. So that's basically the maintenance of this marker. It's super easy. And now I wanted to compare it to the CSR, because I have a CSR. Why? Because I love freaking Ivy cores, man. They're awesome. So I bought both of them, even though both these markers have the same regulator, except for the looks of it. This is more of the CS2 look. This is the CSR reg. These now have the same grips on them because I switched to CS2 grips with a little modification. Very easy to do. They have YouTube videos on it. And the same trigger, essentially. The same trigger. It is the same trigger. Same eyes. Same detents. Same engine, the IV core. Same feed neck, except that this one is a little lower. It's a low rise. But I can tell you right now, my control fits flush on the CSR, and the control does not sit flush on the Geo 4, and they sit at the same height. So it's like whatever. It doesn't really matter. So my CSR doesn't, or my control doesn't sit higher on my CSR. With that being said, this is essentially the same marker. Now I wanted to show you guys the difference between these two markers. You guys see that difference? It's so minor. But you know, when I stand here and I put a tank on it with a you know, and everything, I feels different because it's a different angle. But it's not enough during a game to make a difference to me. That's just me, dude. Like, so it's the same marker as the CSR, as a CS1, as a CS1.5, just with a different angle of the grip. Now, a lot of people like that. Me, I don't notice a difference because I'm not that good. One thing I was disappointed in is why does the 170R have prism eyes and this thing doesn't? That sucks. Like, this thing should have had prism eyes, man. You know what I mean? Like, because that's freaking cool. I would have loved to see prism eyes in this thing. But why didn't they do it? Wouldn't have made sense in sales. Why would they cannibalize on CS2 sales? Why would someone buy a CS2? I mean, the Gamma core, it's a great core. The Ivy core, also a great core, but they're too similar. It wouldn't make sense. There's not enough differences in the two of them for someone to choose the CS2 over this, which was significantly cheaper. And by significantly, I mean a couple $100. So I think that's why they did it. And so here's my advice to you. I bought a Geo 4. If I were you, I would go ahead and wait for the Geo 4.1 or the 4.5 or whatever comes out after this, because why? It's gonna have probably different foregrip, okay? Which I like this, don't get me wrong. I do like the CS2 a little bit more. That's just me though, personal preference. It's gonna have prism eyes, I hope. It's gonna have maybe an improved IV core, I don't know, maybe. It's gonna have probably the same grips as the current CS2. It's gonna have the same ASA, I'm assuming, maybe shaved down a little bit, maybe changed a little bit. And maybe it'll have the newer CS2 style trigger, which blows this trigger out of the water. Not even close comparison. It kills it. So the new Geo will adopt some, I think will adopt some of the new CS2 features. So if you're thinking about getting a Geo, I suggest saving some money, getting yourself a CSR or a CS1.5 or a CS1. Same Noid too. I don't know if you guys know that. Same solenoid as well. I love my CSR. It's lighter than my Geo 4 by like, you don't even notice that either. I mean, really, for some reason I notice when I hold a CS1, it feels like it just feels fat, dude. It feels like huge as hell. So that's my only issue with the CS1, but it's like, maybe that's a placebo mental thing too. But this thing, it weighs less than the Geo. It's cheaper than a Geo, and Geo 4, and so you could go with that. Or a CS1, I mean, shoot, dude, you could get a CS1 for like $550. Half the price of like a used Geo 4. So that's what I'm saying is like, save your money because it has all the same things in it. Wait for the new Geo to come out eventually. Yeah, COVID's pushing everything back. If you can't wait and you want the newest Ivy core, this thing's freaking great. Honestly, I love my Geo 4. I love it. It's my banger right now, man. This is what I go out there and get shot with and try to shoot people with. But this is what I use, man. It's fun. It's a great marker. It's an IV core. But if I had to give you guys some legit advice on if you guys are looking for an IV core marker, rock a CS1, man, because it's basically a CS1. This is like a CS 1.6. So I think the new one's gonna be really sweet though. And will I probably get that one? Yeah, I bet I will, because I love the IV core. So for those of you that want something different than a gamma core, because everything has a gamma core in it now, get yourself a Geo 4 or a CS 1.5 or a CSR or a CS1, because they're all pretty much the same. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, go ahead and clap the cheeks of the subscribe button, spank the like button, and do all those things that people say nowadays on the internet, because that's what I'm doing as well. So thanks guys, more videos coming whenever I make it in the future. So have a good one. Thanks, bye.